What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about how to start your Seller Central account step by step. So no matter what country you're in, USA, Canada, or any of the other approved countries, this will work for you. And that's the beauty about selling on Amazon. You can do it from a laptop from anywhere in the world. Now, why this video is so important is because you make a little mistake here or there, your Seller Central account could be in limbo. It could take weeks or months to get up and actually activated or not get activated at all. So trust me when I say you're going to want to do it right the first time and watch all the way through to avoid any mistakes. Real quick before we get started, if you guys don't know who I am, my name's Cameron James and I've been selling on Amazon for over 7 years now. I've started and scaled 6- and 7-figure Amazon accounts. So if you guys want to keep up to date on everything fun going in the Amazon FBA space, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. So hopping to my screen here, the first thing we're going to do is go to Google, type in Seller Central. First thing that should pop up for you here is sellercentralamazon.com. This is exactly what we're looking for. So once we click into that, we go to a page that looks like this. So this is the sign up page here where it has all the details for Seller Central, signing up, everything like that. So you may have heard that Amazon actually has 2 different plans. So they have an individual plan as well as a professional plan. Now they like to hide the individual plan. They've made this harder and harder every year to find. But if you want to get more details on that, you hit learn more. So let's go deeper into that. Once you hit learn more, you go to a page like this, which it tells you right here that the plan is $39.99 a month plus selling fees. That is the professional plan. So $40 a month there to keep that going. Now, if we go to pricing, hit compare selling plans, now we can see the difference between individual and professional right here. So individual is 99 cents per item sold, where professional, again, is that $40 a month there. Now, I always recommend getting the professional plan, especially if you want to do this like a full-time side hustle, you want to scale this, you want to grow this into a full business, you're going to be selling more than 40 items per month, right? So if we do the individual math here, we sell 40 items per month here, that adds up to the same. And then if we go over 40, we're paying more than a professional plan without all the other benefits and perks. Now, if you just plan on, selling a few items here, if you use books here, there, trying to get your feet wet, fine. Do individual, you can always upgrade later, but this is kind of what you're missing out on. So on professional, you get access to a lot more products, you get access to coupons, list in bulk, manage inventory in bulk, set dynamic pricing, B2B tools, much more reports, and then you get access to advertising, lightning deals, transparency program, Amazon Global Logistics, brand registry, A+ content, video listings, special advertising programs, as well as new seller incentives, which I'll talk about here in a second. But I just wanted to show you, this is where you sign up for an individual if you'd like, or sign up for professional. Any other links you use is going to be professional accounts. Quickly, I just want to talk about seller incentives here. So new sellers get 5% back up to $1 million in branded sales. You can learn more about that. There's a lot more perks to this. And if you do the professional plan, you'll get access to this as well. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. I'm going to take you through step by step of how to sign up on Seller Central. There's a lot of pages to this, a lot of info you're going to need, a lot of things you're going to avoid wanting to do here or mess up. So I'm going to take you page by page here as we sign up together. So next you'll land on a page like this. First thing we're going to do is put it in our name. So use your full name here. Even if you have a business or anything like that, you're going to want to use your full name here. Next is email. So I advise making a separate email. So a different Gmail just for your Amazon account here. So set that up. You can call it your business brand name, you can call it your business name. Doesn't really matter, but somewhere where it's separated. So that way, when you start getting all these Seller Central emails, which you can get a lot, it's going to be separate from your personal or anything else where you just do day-to-day communications. I'm going to fill this section out in private here, and then we'll see on the next page. Next, when you're done with that, it's going to ask you for a one-time code here. Just go to the email that you used and put that code in here. So once we're done with that, we're officially getting started here. So we're actually in the actual process of getting approved. What you'll need, which they'll list out here. So valid government issued ID or passport, recent bank account or credit card statement, chargeable credit or debit card, mobile phone. So I'll go through this as soon as it asks me for this stuff. I'll go through all your options for this. That way you know exactly what you'll need for this, and you can watch this all the way through, prepare, and then do it your own and just follow along again with this video. So the first thing we're gonna do is select our business country, which they have a ton. So select the country you're from or your business is located. If we're doing this from our personal name, wherever your documentation is, go ahead and put that there. As far as your business, go ahead and select the business that is registered, okay? So if you live in UK, but your business is in the US, you'll select the US here, which they clearly say right here. So please select the country where your business is registered. If you don't have a business, enter your country of residence. So we're gonna put United States here. That's where we are going. And this is the Amazon.com, right? So we're signing up to sell on Amazon.com will have access to the whole North American marketplace. This is where you probably want to start selling first anyways, in my opinion. And then once you have this account set up, it's easy to start expanding it to other countries, say Europe or Japan or Australia. So it's exactly where you need to be. Next, we're gonna hit begin. So next we have business type they want from us. This is pretty important to get right. So we have privately owned business and none, I'm an individual. Now these two are most likely where you're gonna fall into, right? If you have no business, you're signing up personally, which is fine. No, I'm an individual. Privately owned businesses are gonna apply to LLCs, corporations, anything like this. Now, if you're a publicly listed business, state-owned business, charity, you're gonna know that on your own already. So select that if that's your case. We're gonna hit privately owned business and assume we have an LLC here. So after we selected privately owned business, we're gonna type in our business name. Now, this is something you guys need when you're first starting if you wanna do it through a business. Now, you can always set up an individual account and then change it later, but I like to start my LLC first, which I have tons of videos on. You can check them out after this. So you need to have a business ready to go. So this is a good place to take out your notepad and everything I say you need before you start the account, you can write this down and then come back, get those ready to go, and then set up your Seller Central account. So the first thing you'll need is an LLC if you plan on doing it through a business, which I recommend, which they're super easy to get. So it's not a big deal there. So I confirm my business location, type are correct, and understand this information cannot be changed later. This is why it's important. Plus, they'll draw this from the database of LLCs to make sure it's a real company. That's why it's important to have that ready to go and already completed. Next, we're gonna hit agree and continue. So on to the next step here. We got your company name. Next, we have a company registration number. So it's gonna be your EIN if you set up an LLC or the according number in your country. I know in Canada, it's called something a little different, but they're pretty much the same. It's essentially an ID or social security number for your business. So they know exactly who you are, what it is, what company it's tied to, everything like that. Now to get this number, after you set up your LLC, you can go to the irs.gov site and get this for free. So you don't have to pay for the EIN, but you will probably have to pay a little bit for the LLC, depending on which state you are. Just Google start an LLC. There's Zen Business, LegalZoom are all great companies there, as well as you check out my videos on that. I have a couple other suggestions for you as well. And then once you have that company set up, you just get your EIN number on Google, go to the irs.gov site, and you can get this for free within 24 hours. Okay, so don't pay anybody for that. You can do that yourself. So on your note list, go ahead and write down EIN as your next step for that. You'll put that right here. You set up as an individual, it's most likely gonna be your social security number or whatever social security number equivalent that is in the country you are signing up with. Next, we have registered business address. So make sure if you have a business, this address matches up on your articles of organization, which is just the document to saying your LLC's live, it's up, it's running. Make sure that address lines up because again, they're gonna cross-check this. So we need to make sure that information is one for one. So what I like to do is just copy paste from the articles of organization into here to make sure everything is exactly the same, the abbreviations are same, everything like that. Because again, if we get one letter wrong here, misspell something, this account could go into limbo and it's really hard to get up and running again. Next, we have security checks. So just type in the characters here to make sure you get that correct, as well as a phone number for verification. So put in your country right here, your country code, put in your number, and then you'll click send SMS here, which they'll ask you for the code before you move on to the next step. If you need a different number for this, you could use Google Voice. You could use another service, right? If you're outside the country and you want a US phone number, you can go ahead and use a service. Just Google that. There's tons of options out there that are pretty damn affordable. So I've obviously filled out that last page in private there. Once you're done with that, you're gonna be on this next page here. So I'm gonna explain everything in here, then type that in privately as well. That way I'm not giving out my contact information. I hope you understand there. So next we have first name, middle name, last name. So this is your personal information. Even if it's tied to your business, you're still gonna do this through your personal information. They wanna tie a business and an individual to account for security reasons. So there's no way of getting around essentially tying it to an actual person. They need to know that you're a real person, not a scam artist, not a fake person putting up an account and essentially just hacking the system, selling counterfeit products, whatever. They need to tie you to an individual as well. So we got first name, middle name, last name, pretty self-explanatory there. Just make sure it's complete name as appear on your passport or ID, because they'll need to verify that information when you upload that information. Next, country of citizenship. So make sure you put that correctly. Country of birth, put that correctly with date of birth. Then your residential address. Okay, that is also important to make sure that you have access to that residential address. The number right here, which we have already verified. Next, we have confirm if primary contact person. Yes, you're gonna be the primary official owner of the business here. unless you are setting this up on someone else's behalf, which you know when that's the case. So select that option if you are. And then primary contact person is the only beneficial owner of the business. So if there's multiple owners, things like that, you can hit no, then apply that down below. For most cases, we're doing this alone, so we're gonna hit yes here, and then we're gonna confirm that all the information is correct right there. Then once we're done filling this information out, again, make sure this is line for line, whatever ID or passport you're using, make sure it's exactly what it says on that ID or passport in the first name, last name, country of citizenship, date of birth, residential address, if possible. I know the residential address has changed. You have an ID that could have an address somewhere else. That's fine. Your passport's not going to have your right address on it, most likely. But if you're using a driver's license that's up to date, make sure it matches that. Again, these are the little mistakes that can hang you up in this whole process and really make your life a lot more harder when getting approved for these accounts. Okay, next, once we're done with that, we have payment information. So this is where it gets into the bank accounts, the credit card information, which is a pretty important step here. So let's just read this step by step so we don't miss anything. Bank account information. We'll need a valid bank account number, which will be used to early deposit and withdraw money between your bank and your Amazon payments accounts. So this is how you get paid, guys. This is how you get money, is that Amazon will hold your money for up to 2 weeks, and then they'll deposit this into the bank account, okay? Your bank should be in the name of the primary contact or business name provided. So you can use a bank account that's in your name or in the business's name. Now, I recommend for accounting purposes, if you set up an LLC, go get a business bank account set up. So again, if you're making notes here, this is the next on your to-do list. Once you have your LLC, then your EIN, go set up Bank of America, Chase, or whatever your bigger banks are in your other countries. Set that up in your business name. You'll have to make an appointment most likely. And that way you have a bank account that's tied up to your business name. This just makes it way cleaner once we have payments coming through and out for accounting reasons and tax purposes, that everything's clean here. Again, you can use just a personal bank account here, even if you have a business, but you'll have to keep track of a lot of payment history, separate personal expenses to business expenses, just makes it more complicated. If we're doing this for the long term, get it set up the right way in the business name. You can switch this later. It is a pain if you need to, but I recommend, again, if we're doing this long term, go get a business bank account set up. If you did it through an individual account, then obviously this will be your primary contact or your personal bank account. Next, to verify your bank, you'll need online banking credentials or provide Amazon with a bank statement. Now, they're tied with a lot of banks where you can just log in through here. You'll see that, but sometimes they're not, depending on the bank. And all we need is a bank statement, which is very easy to get once we have that bank account set up. Next, we have credit card information. So this one is very particular. Looks like they're getting a little bit more lax, but a valid credit or debit card number, which will be used to pay your monthly fee. So essentially, this is for paying that $40 a month or that $1 per purchase, whatever it may be, essentially a backup payment source. If you blow a bunch of money on PPC, advertising, or you're not paying your bills through them, they have something they can charge. So this has to be chargeable and is required to get your account set up. So credit card, I recommend credit cards here. They like credit cards much better than debit cards, but it looks like they will take debit cards. If you use a debit card, just make sure you're able to run credit on that. Okay, so there's obviously debit where you put in your PIN if you're making a purchase. And with that same debit card, you can use credit instead, which runs it like a credit card. So if you are using a debit card, I recommend you have one that can be charged as credit as well, which I think most of them do, especially here in the States. I'm not quite sure how that works in the UK or Canada or Australia or other countries, but just double check there. But if you have a credit card, I would use this. Now the question usually is, do I need a business credit card if everything's tied to my business? No, this can be a personal credit card at first. That's okay. You can always take those few charges and put them on the business as well. That way accounting's taken care of for that. But it's really hard when you first start a business to get a business credit card. So when I start new accounts, I'm using a personal credit card. And then eventually, once I have some business history and get a business credit card, I'll switch that over later, which is pretty easy to do versus the bank account. So this does not have to be a business credit card. It can be a personal, and actually it's easier to use a personal at first. So let's hit continue here and move on. So on to the next step, adding a bank account. Okay, so we're adding a bank account for the US marketplace. So that means that bank account needs to take US dollars. Okay, so any marketplace you sell on needs to be congruent in that currency. So in Canada, if you're selling Canadian products, If you're selling in Canada, you need an account that can take Canadian dollars. Okay, but we're doing US here first. So we need an account that could take US if that's what you're planning to sell on. And then any other marketplace you get access to later, you can add a different account to when you're ready. So you don't have to worry about that right now. First, we just need to get through the US and put an account here that takes US dollars. We can set up Wise accounts, which allows you to have multiple bank accounts in different currencies, as well as pay in near. In Canada, they have something called a cross-border account where you can set up a Canadian bank account as well as a US dollar account. So that's a pretty easy access there, as well as there are other options. Again, I have videos on this, but something you need to take into consideration if you're in a different country, everything like that. So here it's going to ask, what is the account holder's name, either your personal name or your business name. For this, I'm going to select my business name, country, United States, financial institution name. So they have a ton of banks here. So go find your bank. So in my case, mine's Bank of America. If you have one that's outside this list, you're going to hit others here and then put that information in. If you do select others here, you will need a bank statement, but that's how we've been doing this for 5+ years anyways. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. Just make sure that information matches up perfectly. And I'll show you at the end where you actually put that information in. Next, you're going to put your routing number and bank account number into here. Make sure you get that absolutely correct. That's pretty dang important. I'm obviously going to do that in private, so no one's taking money out of my account. But we have verified bank account next. So this is either going to tell you that you can log in through Amazon to your bank account to set this up right away, or it's going to say this is not available for this bank and that you need to provide a bank statement at the end, which again, don't panic if you need to supply a bank document at the end. That's a pretty normal occurrence in this process. If you're able to verify just by logging into your bank, great. That's actually a huge relief. That's going to save you a little bit of time and potential issues in the back end if you get something incorrect with your information. So after putting all that information in, we see here my bank actually doesn't have eligibility for instant verification. So I'm going through this process as well. So again, don't panic there. I use Bank of America there. Chase is another good option. Again, I like these bigger banks that have branches across the nation, or if you move around, which in this business you can a lot because you're working from your laptop, I have branches I can always go to. So what it's saying here that I'll need to complete manual bank account verification, which is just uploading a bank statement like we talked about earlier. So we're gonna hit continue here. So next we have credit card or debit card details. So one thing I want to get across here is that $40 per month here, you'll actually only be charged the first month or any month you have active listings. If you do not have active listings, you will not be charged a subscription fee in that month. So essentially you're not going to get charged until you have active listings, which is going to be a while to get your product sourced brought over. So this is great for that reason alone. If they do charge you, I've seen it a lot where they accidentally charge you every month. Even if you don't have active listings, you can make a case and get a refund for that. So don't panic there. Just know you have that option down the road. So signing up for the professional account is really a no-brainer. Next, card number. So make sure you put that information in correctly, have the name perfectly entered right here. That's on the card, as well as the billing address correct. So you might have to add a new address here if your billing address is different than your business address, which most likely it is. If you did this under your personal information, it's probably the same, but again, just double check that. Add a new address if you need a new billing address for that credit card. Again, this is one thing they'll decline you on. If they're not able to charge your credit card or your debit card, your account will not go through. So this information needs to be perfect on here to make sure that there's no ifs, ands, or buts, that everything's working properly. Next, we have store and product information. Obviously, I entered my credit card information in private there and went ahead and hit next. So moving on here, we have store name. So this is what your store is gonna be called. Okay, so this is what people can see on your account. It is important, but it's also not that important. You can change this later. A lot of people get hung up here. So if you don't have anything in place yet, a brand name, a business name, whatever it is, it's okay. We can change this later. And even if we roll with that store name, it's fine, because when we get brand registered with a brand name, that's what people mainly see versus the actual store name itself. And we can have multiple brands underneath the store name. So if we have different lines of products, that's okay too. We can separate that all with this professional account by getting brand registration for each of those brands. So people get hung up here. I just want to take a moment and say, don't just pick something, move on if you don't have anything. If you think you have an idea for it, great. Otherwise, you can pick a generic name here and then just move on from there. So they'll tell you if it's taken or not. So let's see here. This is not available. So let's add front here. That's also not available. Let's try to take out the apostrophe. That's available. So Cam Storefront. Obviously, you don't want to use your name here probably, but I'm just using this for a quick example. You can use the first part of your LLC name. So I wouldn't put LLC at the back end of that, or just come up with something clever that you think you like for that and covers the potential brand products you'll be selling. Obviously, if you already have a brand, then you just put your brand right here. Next, do you have any universal product codes, UPCs, for all your products? So if you're just starting out, this is going to be a no. But if you already have products that have UPCs, you know about this, you're going to hit yes here. But even if you hit no and you do have UPCs, it's not a big deal. You'll add your products later with those UPCs. So I don't even know why they asked this question, to be honest with you, because it doesn't really matter too much. It's just kind of jumping the gun a little bit. So hit no here if you don't have anything ready, which is perfectly fine, which 99% of people don't. Do you have diversity certifications, minority, women, veteran, LGBT that you wish to add to your account? If you have some, great. Put yes here and then add those in. No for me. You can always add these later too as well. Do you own a brand, or do you serve as an agent or representative or manufacturers, a lot of ors there, of a brand for any products you want to sell on Amazon? So if you have a brand already, you can hit yes here, then enter that in. No for most of us. If you plan on selling other people's products, wholesale and selling your own brands, and you already have that established, you can put some of them, so half and half. But otherwise, again, this doesn't really matter. If you want to add this stuff later, just get through this process, I would hit no. To me, that actually makes it a little bit more simple, because you're just adding more information to this already tedious, very sensitive application, where when we get accepted to the account, we have a little bit more leeway to be wrong and make mistakes and actually get things going and running. So I'm gonna hit no for all these. I'm gonna hit next. All right, guys, finally on to the last step here, which is probably the most important step. I'm going to walk you through this, make sure we get everything right. Also, if you guys enjoy this, it's been helpful, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. It means a lot to me, but otherwise, let's get into it. Obviously, a lot of my personal information will be blurred here, but double check all this stuff here. Make sure it's correct. That way you don't have any issues. You can always go hit previous down below here, so you can always go back and change things. So just double check everything's right. So we have business name, company registration number, business address. We have name, date of birth, country of citizenship, identity data. So if you use passport or your driver's license, they'll have that information in there. Residential address that's linked to your personal side, and then driving license document. This could be a passport, this could be a driver's license, and whatever country you're in, it could be equivalent to that of, United States driver's license and passport. So whatever it is there, we're gonna upload this here. Now, this is where a lot of things can happen and go wrong. The formatting could be wrong. If you edit anything on the documentation, scan, or whatever it may be, they will automatically decline it, right? So don't change anything. Don't do any Photoshop here. You'll be permanently banned, and it's a nightmare. So don't do anything. Make sure you do this the right way. Don't edit your documents in any manner, just straight up scans. So it's important too that your documents are in any languages they approve. You can get things translated, which is a mess. Hopefully you don't have to do that, but it needs to be in one of these 12 languages here. So Chinese, English, French, German. I won't read them off there, but if it's not in any of these languages, provide a notarized translation of your document into one of these supported languages. So you'll have to go get a translation and then it notarized into one of these languages up above. If you don't, I know that's annoying, but to get access to America's, 150 million Amazon Prime customers or whatever it is, sometimes it's worth it to take these extra steps to make money, make your dreams come true, whatever it may be. Next, document should be less than 50 megabytes in size. So if it's too big, they're not going to accept it. You could have to compress the file or just lower the quality of the scan to make sure it's under that. Most of the time you don't have this issue unless it's just a high def scan of some sort or some reason, or too many pixels. But just know that if it's too big, they won't take it. Next, accepted formats. This is important, guys. PNG, TIFF, JPEG, JPEG, and PDF. So make sure that your file format is in one of these. Again, they will not accept it if it's not true. Anything that has multiple pages, so your bank statement, we'll talk about that too. But if it has blank pages in the bottom, make sure you upload that with it as well. If they see a missing page, even if it was blank, they will decline this, okay? And again, all these things need to match up to the information you put up on the account as best to your ability. Make sure you copy and paste it, especially the bank statement. If that doesn't match to your personal information or the business information, they will automatically decline it. So if your name or business name doesn't match up to what you put on the account, decline. If your address doesn't match up to your account, decline. And if the bank statement has a phone number on it, make sure you use that correct phone number as well. Again, we want to give them essentially no way to decline us there. There's all the information's matching. We have no reason to get declined here. And it's important we do this right on the first step as best as possible, because actually working with them after it's been declined is way harder than doing it right the first time. couple other things: must be high quality color image. So don't copy black and white or scan black and white, do color. Cannot be a screenshot. So it has to be a scanned copy or photo. So either get your phone out or use a color copier, which is what I use to scan and upload these documents. Must show all four corners and be clearly visible. Must not be blurry. Text should be legible. Document must be signed if required. So of course, in your driver's license or your passport, you're going to sign these things, which should already be taken care of. If not, just double check that. And then you're going to go ahead and continue. So after that, they're going to double check, make sure all your information is correct here. So any mismatch between the details entering during registration and the information on your document will impede or delay the verification process. So we're getting really good at making sure you understand what I'm talking about. Before, it used to be just guessing and checking. Now they're actually saying what the correct process is. And we all know to be true once you've been through it 100 freaking times. So once you confirmed all these details on your driver's license, passport, whatever document it is, go ahead and upload the document here. Do that for the backside as well. Again, they'll have different requirements depending on which, driver's license, passport, whatever it is. Next, proof of address. So bank account statement or credit card statement. Now, bank account statement usually works best. If you use your personal side of things and it's all through the personal name, credit card statement will work just fine here, but I prefer using the bank account statement. So go log into your bank, download that PDF exactly how it is. Do not change a thing. Do not remove any pages. Make sure that information lines up just like we talked about before, and then upload that as well. If you need more details, obviously, go ahead and read through these details here. So double check everything we just talked about too is on here, but just double check that all these bullets are taken care of here. I know a lot of this is repetitive, but again, it's better to be thorough here. Then once you hit continue here, it's going to go ahead and ask you to upload the file through your desktop, wherever it is. It's going to go ahead and open up your folders, and then you select the right bank account there. After you uploaded everything, you're going to hit next there. There's a few things that can happen after you hit next to the verification. It could tell you they're going to let you know in 48 hours to 72 hours. Could be 1 week, 2 weeks. You'll be emailed verification that everything is up and running. They could also send you some mail that has a verification code on it to verify your address. And then you need to upload that code into Amazon to go on to the next step and get verification and get accepted. You could also be prompted to get on a one-on-one call with them to verify your identity. It depends on what country you live in, so it's a little different here for everybody. Just know these are some of the things that could come up. They do some of this stuff randomly, and they also do some of this stuff based on your country, your information, things like that. Also, to recap what you'll need before setting this account up: the LLC, the EIN after the LLC, the business bank account, a credit card or a debit card that can actually run credit. Now, if you do things on the personal side, you don't need all these things, but if you want to do things properly, keep things clean, do this for the long run, I suggest you get all those things set up. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. I'll also be linking down my 40+ page field manual going through all the different steps of Amazon after Seller Central, product research, suppliers, freight forwarding, advertising, launching, photos, listing copy, all that good stuff. If you're confused on the next steps, this is a perfect guide to get you up and running and know what's coming next and be prepared for that. So make sure you get that field manual. Again, it took me a long time to write this thing. We made a lot of iterations to it. It's essentially like a small book and it's free, so it's a no-brainer. Otherwise, guys, hope that was helpful. See you on the next one. Bye.